Mrs. Armitage on wheels. And there they are, look, her bicycle wheels. So, Mrs. Armitage was out on her bicycle. Breakspear the dog ran alongside. Can you see him? There he is, running fast to keep up. A hedgehog walked across the road. Dring, dring, went Mrs. Armitage on the bell. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is a really loud horn. Mrs. Armitage bought 3 horns, and they were all very loud. Beep, beep, honk, honk, hee-haw, went Mrs. Armitage on her horns. Oh dear, and the old ladies had to jump. Whoo, scary. Then the chain came off. Oh dear. By the time Mrs. Armitage had got it back on again, her hands were all black and greasy. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is somewhere to wash your hands. So she got a bucket of water and a towel and a soap rack with a bar of soap, and she hung them all onto the bike. And off she went, with beautifully clean hands. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself as she cycled along, if it's to be properly looked after, is a complete toolkit. So, she got a toolbox with spanners and screwdrivers and hammers and cans of penetrating oil, and she fixed it onto the back of the bicycle. And off she went. There we go. By now, Mrs. Armitage was beginning to think about food. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is somewhere to carry a light snack. What kind of snack, I wonder? Maybe it's biscuits. So, she got a tray for apples and bananas and cheese and tomato sandwiches and a holder for a bottle of lemonade and a flask of cocoa and a special basket for bones and dog biscuits for Breakspear. And she fixed them all to the bike. And off they went. Breakspear looks like he wants a biscuit now, doesn't he? But by now, poor Breakspear was feeling quite tired running along beside the bicycle. You could tell because his tongue was hanging out and he was panting. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is something for a faithful dog to ride on. Oh dear, it's getting rather large, this bike. So, she got some iron brackets and some nuts and bolts and some cushions, and she made a seat for Breakspear. And off they went. Oh, there he is. He looks very proud of himself sitting in the seat, doesn't he? They had stopped beside the road for some sandwiches and dog biscuits when it began to rain. Great heavens, said Mrs. Armitage. What this bike needs, Breakspear, is something to keep the rain off. Oh, yes. I often think that about my bike. It could do with a hood. So, she got 2 umbrellas, one large, one small, and she fixed them up on the bicycle. And off they went. Oh, Breakspear looks very happy, doesn't he? Riding through the rain, Mrs. Armitage began to feel rather downhearted. What this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is a bit of cheerful music. I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh my goodness. So, she got a transistor radio cassette player and a lot of cassettes of cheerful music and a mouth organ so that she could join in, and she fixed them all to the bike. And off they went. Mrs. Armitage was turning the pedals so fast and blowing the mouth organ so hard that soon she was nearly exhausted. Oh dear, what this bike needs, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, is a bit of extra oomph. And so she got some wood and some ropes and some tarpaulin, and she rigged up a sail, and she added a few yards of bunting and an anchor into the bargain. Oh my goodness, look at it. Doesn't look much like a bicycle anymore, does it? Wow. Do quite like the sail and the bunting though, they're very fun. And off they went with the wind behind them, faster and faster and faster until, oh no, crash, crunch, clang, clatter, thud, pee-haw, went the horn. Oh no, look. Oh no, I turned 2 pages at once. Oh dear. What this bike needs, Breakspear, said Mrs. Armitage as she picked herself up from the wreckage, is taking to the dump. Off it went on the back of a truck. And what I need, thought Mrs. Armitage, is rollerblades. Whoopee! Oh no, zooming along. But what these roller skates need, said Mrs. Armitage to herself, what these roller skates really need is... Oh dear, I wonder what she decided to put on her roller skates. I don't know. That's the end of that one. I hope you enjoyed it. It was called Mrs. Armitage on Wheels. So next time you go out on your bike, you have a little think. What does your bike need extra? See you soon. Bye.